Hey guys, so hello and welcome to beautiful Palas De Rei. I assume that translates into the Palace of the King. And Eddie and I walked from Portomarin to Palas De Rei today. And I'm going to ask Ellie to give me the statistics as soon as she's ready. She's here with me. You can see her there writing up her notes.
Yeah.
So Ellie, what do we do today?
About 25.5 kilometers with 600 meters of elevation gain and almost 450 loss in kind of 6.5 hours this morning.
Yeah.
But it was a nice gradual climb the whole day.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? You know,
Yeah.
it was. There was no really steep climb.
No.
Yeah, but it was a climb all day.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we didn't really feel it.
No, it was
No.
really nice.
It went easy enough. And what's the total? How much have we done in total? Total.
737 kilometers.
737 kilometers. It's pretty cool, actually, isn't it, Eddie? When we see the signs now and we see 80 something kilometers to go.
We're down into the 60s now.
Down to 60s, yeah.
Yeah, which is really cool.
Which is really cool, yeah.
Yeah.
So Ellie, I'm going to let Ellie go back to her notes. She tells me that I've been distracting her for the last couple of days. She hasn't been able to write up her journal. Today was, as Ellie said, it was a really nice walk actually. We got up at early. In fact, we were on the road at 5:45, and Ellie was up super early. In fact, she tells me that it's something to do with me getting out of the bunk underneath. But so we got out early. It was misty and it was cool, and it didn't really warm up all day. I think we got up to the mid-teens. That was as high as it got, maybe 15 degrees or something like that, which is perfect walking weather. Really perfect. We had a few nice people on the walk, had some chats. It was just one of those days we just walked on. But I sort of had committed to, after our experience yesterday, and realising there was plenty of room in the albergue. I was going to make you laugh in a minute at that. I committed to Ellie that we'd actually have our breaks. I wouldn't just keep pushing. So we had a breakfast break and we had a lunch break. So we stopped for about half an hour, I'd say, at breakfast, and probably the same 20 minutes, half an hour for lunch. We made the sandwiches up last night. We had them on the road, and then we fed the dog. I got some lovely photos of the dog. Sat there looking at me. You know the way they look at you with that eye. The please give me some of your. And he didn't want the bread, of course. He wanted the filling. He wanted the Serrano ham. And he'd sniff at the bread and turn his nose up, and then he'd be sniffing at my sandwich, looking for the ham out of it. It was lovely, actually. And we saw a pine marten as well on the walk today, which is really interesting. Beautiful creature. And he just said stop, and I froze. And there he was up in front of us, not far away at all. And he hopped across in front of us, hopped across the road, and went off into a field. Really nice creature. So yeah, it was a very straightforward, very easy walk today. And as Eddie said, 25k. So it was no big deal. And we felt strong coming in. But here's a pitch that's going to make you laugh. We came in and we came up to the albergue municipal and we joined the queue, and a few other people joined after us. They said the tourists, there was a notice on the tourist off on the way in saying there's only 12 beds in the albergue, but all the apps and my guide and everything said that there were, 50 or 60 beds, whatever it was. So everybody queued up, and the guy who was running the place came out to dump stuff in the bin or whatever, and saw the big queue, said nothing, went back in, and then he opened the door at 1 o'clock, and everybody started filing in, registering. You see this big queue going out the door and off down the block. Never said a word until the 12 beds tickets were sold. Ellie and I got the last two, and then he said that's it, no more beds, and the people have been queuing up for an hour, waiting for them, and never said anything down, just left everybody queuing, said no more beds. So everybody had to rush up to the other albergue on the other side of town. And we found the other albergue municipal, that is the other side of town. We found that this one, in fact, they're fumigating, yikes, one of the dormitories, so I assume bed bugs, and they're doing construction work on the other one. That's why they were closed, so they only had one dormitory open. But it seems, I think Ellie got a text from Sam, the Scottish guy we know, that they all got up there, they all got beds in the other one, but a little bit out of town, up in a nice forest area, but a little bit out of town, whereas we were right in the centre. So we're dead lucky that we got here at the time we got here, and that we got the last two beds, albeit they were both on top bunks and were both at two separate ends of the dormitory, which I don't really like. I like Ellie close to me at night time, but it is what it is. As Ellie said, we're grateful to have the beds. So what can I tell you? As Eddie said, we're down the 60s. It's really weird when you go along to all the waymarks and you see the mileage going down and down and down, and then you see that we're now got 60. You almost feel you could put on your shoes now and walk to Santiago today. You know, obviously we're not going to, guys. Now, see the book? That's all that's left. So we're really making progress. So tomorrow we walk from Palas De Rei to a place called Ribadiso. Ribadiso. I can't pronounce any of this stuff, but that's what we're walking to. It's 26k and a total ascent of 820 meters. So it's got a bit of a climb, and a bit of a climb, a bit more of a climb than today's was. Even though today's a total ascent 1,050 meters, I'm not really sure where that came from because that's not what our app said we did. But he said a total ascent tomorrow of 820 meters. But if you look at the map or look at the thing there, you can see it's all little ups and downs. There's no big climbs. Lots of there's some of them little steep little things, but they're not long. So it should be a pretty straightforward walk. And we checked out the hostels. There's hostels up there, and there seems to be lots of municipal hostels. In fact, the one that we're proposing to stay in, it says idyllic location adjacent to a medieval bridge. Fine reconstruction of one of the oldest pilgrim hospitals still in existence. So that's sort of exciting. We're sort of looking forward to that. We saw a nice. They have markings on the road, and the markings in the pavement, and of the Camino, the shell or whatever the cross is. And I'm proposing to get a tattoo, and for this trip, at the end of this trip in Santiago, if I can. And I was trying to think about what it would look, what the design would be. I wanted a particular cross, a particular shell, and we saw this beautiful one in the footpath this morning. I took a photograph of it and said, that's it, that's the one I'm going to get. So I'm looking forward to that. I mean, Ellie and I are really excited. We're coming to the end of the trip. As we said before, everybody wants to go home now, I think, and get to the end of this. But we're only 2 days. Tomorrow is Wednesday, so we walk tomorrow and we walk Thursday, and then Friday's just the walk into Santiago. So all very exciting. I really nothing else to tell you. All is good. We're feeling good, no problems still. Feet are good, legs are good, heads are good. All the important things seem to be working. And yeah, coming to the end. Ellie is writing up her notes. As I said before, she's planning to do a video on this. It's going to be really interesting, maybe a few videos on it, on different aspects of it. I think I'm going to do one as well at the end, and I'm going to focus on lessons learned, like around what would I bring if I was doing it again? How would I walk? Where would I stay? You know, this kind of stuff, like practical things, but even silly things like how I set up my rucksack. It's amazing. You learn as you walk along to set up the rucksack quite differently, and so I think I'll do something like that, and then maybe just a little bit on the old philosophy. What did I learn on the trip? Why would I recommend this kind of thing to somebody else? So that's it, guys. I hope you're all well. I hope the weather's holding up. I keep looking at the weather in Ireland and it looks miserable. The weather here is lovely, sorry about that. The sun's shining. We're sitting here under a tree to make sure we don't get too much sun, and we're going to make the most of the next few days before we return to Irish summer. So I'll talk to you all tomorrow. Cheers, everyone.